Okay, so here we are. Here we are. Another live author reading. I know I had to take off last week. I apologize about that for anybody that was trying to join and was looking forward to the readings. I know it messed up the entire schedule, pushing everything back a week. Girl Scouts were doing a father-daughter ice skating thing, so naturally I pushed everything back because I'm not going to miss out on that time with my daughter. That was a lot of fun. But hey, this week, which was supposed to be last week, we've got some excellent books coming at you. um, we got yes, she does sell cookies. She absolutely does. If you want, I will send you the link and you can have them shipped straight to your house. I think they can do it across state lines. Yeah, they can, because my aunt in Pennsylvania bought some. I will send you the link and you can absolutely buy some cookies. I'll do shameless self promotion for my daughter tonight for her Girl Scouts. No, so tonight we got some great books. We've got Fire on Fire by Christy Nichols. For the people on TikTok, I'm like cameras in two different places. Fire on Fire by Kirsty Nichols, and Kindred Warriors by Mattia Lorenzo Zono. And I'm super excited to dive into this tonight. Once again, just to give you guys an idea of what I'm doing here, is these are live author readings. Two authors a night. They send me excerpts no longer than 2,500 words, and I just kind of go through them and I read them. Once the live is over, it is saved on YouTube, and I go in after the fact and chop up the videos to just the excerpts that I've read, and I share them on the website. This is going to be changing. I haven't quite figured out how, so submissions are currently closed. I think this goes until mid-March, and that's the last one that I'm doing. But here's the website. Here's what the homepage looks like. At the top, you'll see this author live reading, or, you know, you can just like scroll down a little bit. Oh, no, I got rid of that section. Okay, never mind. So yeah, at the top here, you got that live author reading. And if you click it, it'll load for a second. Like I said, submissions are currently closed. You can see the calendar right here. Last week was an off week. And then next one we've got, yeah, until about, mid-March or so. See all the previous readings. And like I said, we'll just pick one at random. After I'm done, I will put the excerpt up. Some of them are not meant for kids under 18, so that's why you'll get stuff like this. This is, age-restricted video, but you can always click on it and go watch it on YouTube. Either way, I put it next to the synopsis of the book, to cover the book. They've got the link to buy the book if it's available, link to support the author, so on and so forth. I'm showing one at random because I have not put tonight's up yet. I'll be handling that here shortly after this, so be sure to be on the lookout. That's atlascreedauthor.com. By all means, support these authors. Let me get this out of the way so you guys can see the beautiful cover art. All right. And I'm going to get my webcam out of the way so you guys can just admire. So yeah, absolutely. Fire on Fire by Kirsty Nichols and Kindred Warriors by Matteo Lorenzo Zono. And I'm going to be starting out with Christie's. So let's pop that up there. And I mean, honestly, I love that cover. I love the colors and how everything works together. And it's a beautiful cover. Kirsty, whoever you had doing it, looks fantastic. Hey, Audrey, how you doing? Let's see. I'm trying to monitor both chats here. So, like I said, we're going to jump into this one. Hers is going to be the first reading. This is chapter 1 of her book, and it's on a ship. And they say the characters are Scottish. I am absolutely 100% going to butcher that, but I'll give it my best shot. So feel free to criticize me in the comments. I got thick skin. Not going to hurt my feelings. I'll cry later. Don't worry about it. All right, so yeah, here we go. I'm going to grab some water. And like I said, this one's called Chapter 1, and it's titled The Blue Men. The best journeys take you home. The smooth wooden keel of a large merchant ship cuts through the frigid waters of the North Sea. Low clouds drown out the starlight, and the ocean is calm as far as the eye can see. On deck, besides the soft rustle of linen sails and the gentle creak of the gaff as it adjusts to the light wind, all is quiet. The crew rests in their quarters below, in preparation for unloading their haul later that evening. Two well-worn sailors stand in the lantern light of the quarterdeck, looking out into the dark abyss ahead. One rests his elbow on the helm. The other leans against the banister of the steps that lead to the main deck. He downs the last drops from an amber bottle of ale. Without warning, the ship jolts to a halt. "What the hell?" The sailor against the banister bounds down the steps to lean over the starboard side. He ponders into the blackness below. "Did we hit a reef?" The puzzled sailor is wrenched over the side. A loud splash follows. A blood-curdling cry pierces the night air while the massive shipping vessel groans, slowly lurching to the side. Below deck, shouting ensues as sleeping sailors are dumped from their hammocks. One dazed sailor sits on the floor, watching his shipmates jump to their feet and charge up the steps to the main deck. In the stores below the crew's quarters, a hooded figure slouches against several wooden barrels. As the ship rocks, a sizable, empty ale bottle rolls across the floorboards. From the main deck above, the ship's bell rings violently. Piercing blue eyes appear from beneath the black wool cloak. Aidan Shaw stumbles to his feet as he realizes the floor itself is rolling out from under him. He pulls the hood from his head, revealing his slicked-back raven locks, oily from weeks at sea, and a chiseled, unshaven face worn by the wind and the sun. He looks up to the cries reverberating above his head. Rolling his eyes, he complains in a deep, gravelly voice, resembling thunder rolling across the open skies. "That was me sleeping good, too, for once." A whinny resounds beside him. A brown Clydesdale mare, partially covered by a wool blanket, adjusts her stance to maintain the balance of her enormous weight on the shifting floor. Aidan glances her way and replies, "Oh, you wish it, Gara. We're not even meant to be here. I'll have a look." He rips the wool cloak from his shoulders and tosses it over one of the wooden barrels. While his tall, muscular figure is laden with leather armor, it does little to hide the scars on his neck and hands that peer out from beneath his ivory blouse. He jogs up the lurching stairs in front of him. He stumbles and catches himself on the railing, his head suddenly swimming. "Oh, I shouldn't have drank the whole bottle." Regaining his footing, he takes exaggerated steps to save his balance on the remaining stairs. As he reaches the main deck, he analyzes the situation. Before him is the strangest storm he has ever witnessed. There is little wind, but massive waves bash both sides of the ship. A colossal swell rises above the deck. Bluish humanoid creatures ride inside of it, their legs fading into the black water. Aidan locks eyes with one of the blue men, and time seems to slow. He stares into its bright yellow orbs for what seems like an eternity. Then the flow of time resumes, and the surf splashes onto the deck. As the wave recedes back into the sea, the creature drags a kicking, screaming sailor over the side with it. These blue men, these protective beings of the ocean, are familiar to Aidan, though he's never seen them outside of Mink before. These boys have no idea what they're in for. 3 sailors hoist the halyard lines in unison, desperate to release the jib sails and get the ship moving. The middle of the 3 commands, "Come on, lads, let's pull! Come on!" 4 additional sailors hang across the gaff of the foremast, unwrapping the sails. While untangling a line, a sailor above notices another enormous surge rising from the deep. "Watch out!" he shouts to those on deck below. The wave crashes onto the deck. When it recedes, the sailors on the gaff look on in terror as all 3 halyard lines are left hanging. There is no one attached to them. The ship begins to roll to the opposite side. Struggling to keep himself upright, Aidan grasps onto the doorframe he came through. One by one, deafening blasts ring through the air. He looks up as the cannons begin to break loose and roll to the other side of the ship. A young deckhand, no more than 13 or 14 years old, grabs hold of a cannon and attempts to push it back into place. The ship jerks, pinning the boy against the side of the vessel. "Help!" Stowaway or not, Aiden has no choice but to get involved now. He steadies himself and takes off at a sprint across the deck, grabbing hold of the cannon. Together, he and the boy haul it off of him. Aiden leans his leg into the gun and ties it back off to the ship. Through the sea spray, he yells to the deckhand, "Go on, Greenhorn! I've got it!" The terrified boy nods and runs off to help secure another cannon. As another swell rises into the air, sailors grab axes and spears from compartments around the deck and charge at the blue men. One of the creatures seizes Aiden by the foot and drags him across the deck. He hastily grasps the small knife tucked inside his leather boot, and stabs the blue man in the hand. The creature emits a metallic scream before releasing Aiden's foot and sliding back into the water. Aiden springs to his feet as another blue man sails at him through the air. A spear spirals over his shoulder, piercing the creature in the chest. The blue man falls to the deck, watery green ooze seeping from the fatal wound. Aiden looks back to see the young deckhand. Aiden smirks. Thanks, laddie." A dinghy is thrown overhead by another wave. Aiden and the deckhand duck and throw their hands over their heads as a small rowboat breaks into hundreds of pieces that scatter across the deck. One chunk thwacks the helmsman on the head, and he falls to the ground. The ship rolls more violently. Aiden crawls to the helmsman to find him knocked out cold. Seizing the helm, he steadies the ship, but the resistance on the rudder is overwhelming. He's unsure how much longer he can sustain it. He looks up and realizes the foresails are still not down. "What's going on up there?" he calls up to the gaff. A voice yells back down, "The mast still went out clear." Aiden looks over to the young deckhand, who's in the process of stabbing another blue man. "Hey, Greenhorn, take the helm." The boy nods and stumbles over to Aiden. He braces his stance and fights to keep the ship on course. Aiden sprints to the shroud of the foremast, shoves his blade between his teeth, and climbs the rungs. A blue man comes at him from below. Aiden kicks it in the face and it falls, landing on the deck like a reeled-in fish. 3 more sail at him within a swell to his left. He doesn't have time for this. He takes a deep breath, stares at them intently, and faces his outstretched palm toward them. The air in front of his hand begins to fold and morph, and the blue men are blasted backward. He exhales and keeps climbing. At the top of the shroud, he finds a solitary sailor still manning the gaff. The sailor is desperately clinging to the line and kicking at blue men to keep them off him. Aiden has to think quick. He grabs hold of the line and saws at it with his blade. As he works, he looks to the sailor and asks, "Where's the captain, son?" The sailor replies, "Pulled overboard, sir." Aiden rolls his eyes and shakes his head. Of course he was. The line breaks and the sail finally flies out. The ship lists port side. Aiden grabs the frayed line, reaches for the sailor's hand, and they ride it back down to the deck. As the waves continue to rise, the sailors wearily endure the battle with the blue men. Aiden takes the helm from the exhausted deckhand and spins its starboard side into the wind. The ship slowly creeps forward. He then jerks the helm port side, and the ship sluggishly slides sideways. He calls out to the rest of the deck, "Trim the sails!" A few of the sailors return, "Trim the sails, aye!" They cease fighting the blue men and charge toward the rigging. They hoist the lines to control the wind in the sails. The ship rocks as Aiden spins the helm starboard side into the wind. The waves get even higher, and the sailors hold on to anything they can to keep from going overboard. Under his breath, Aiden utters a prayer. With one final pull, he slams the helm port side, and the ship swings around once more. He can feel an enormous force releasing hold of the ship, and the waves instantly subside. The vessel glides on through calm waters once more. He takes a deep breath and attempts to shake the adrenaline from his twitching muscles. From beside him, the young deckhand questions, "Who are you, sir?" Promptly, Aiden turns to the boy and extends his hand. "Aiden Shaw, lad." The deckhand's mouth falls open. He drops his limp hand into Aiden's palm. Admiral Aiden Shaw. Aiden shakes the boy's hand. Shakes the boy's wilted hand, another smirk dallying at the corners of his mouth. Well, I'm no Scotland's admiral anymore, but unfortunately, it appears I will have to remain your captain till we make port. The deckhand removes the wool beanie from his head to reveal matted black tresses. He holds the sodden hat to his chest and bows. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Mr. Shaw. Aiden's simper cracks into a hearty smile. What's your name, laddie? Edward Thatch, sir. Aiden nods. A pleasure to make your acquaintance and all, Mr. Thatch, and to be sailing alongside you thus far. As the sky overhead clears, a flicker appears in Aiden's periphery. He leaves Edward in charge of the helm as he walks over to the side of the ship. He steps up onto a rung of the shroud and looks out at the ocean ahead of them. In the distance, the beacon fires of Leith Shrine, Scotland. Beyond the port, he can just make out the outline of the castle on the hill. He takes a deep, uneasy breath. He's almost home. And that is the end of the excerpt from Fire on Fire by Kirsty Nichols. And I think phenomenal. Well done. Little bits of world building in there. A little bit of a magic system, it seems like, kind of brewing. And just phenomenal overall. I like the intrigue that the first chapter really brings to it. And I like how the characters seem to interact. I kind of like the feeling, they seem like relatable and real characters. And I'd be excited to read some more. It's definitely going on my TBR, for sure. Well, thank you, Megan. Audrey, great to hear. Great to hear. I'm always happy when somebody finds something new to read. I'm going to scroll up through this chat a little bit for the people that are looking on YouTube. Hey, Mattia. How you doing? Nice. Okay. So, yeah, that was Fire on Fire by Kirsty Nichols. She did a phenomenal job with that excerpt. That's a great opening chapter. I'm assuming there's no prologue, so we're going to say that's the opening chapter. But she just did phenomenal with that writing. And again, yeah, let me get my face out of the way. Beautiful cover. So whoever designed it, I kind of want to talk to her about that because that's really well done. And yeah, I'm just really excited to hear the rest of that. All right. So as I always do between authors, I do my little shameless self-promotion. This time I'm going to talk about two things. First off is Indie Author Connect. For those of you who know, I think most of the people here do. I run a community with the help of some phenomenal mods on Discord and a website, which I have the website right here. I'll pull up, called Indie Author Connect. And its entire purpose is to help indie authors who are struggling with finding resources or finding valuable resources. Editors that are professionally vetted that aren't going to scam them. Same with cover designers, beta readers, ARC readers, photographers. The list is constantly growing. So here's the homepage of that. We just added a section for marketing tools. Podcasts is the only one that's really full right now. We just have these two. But these are places where authors can sign up to have either an interview done or their works promoted. I believe that Authors Chaos Podcast does interviews, but they're done in advance. They're done video interviews in advance and then shared later on. And Narration Station is a promotional tool where authors can share excerpts of their work to have it read live by professional audiobook narrators, much better than myself. By all means, check those out. And Narration Station also does have a narrator sign up. So if you are a narrator, check it out and see if you can attend one of those and also put your services out there as well. Aside from that, we've got, like I said, the service providers. We have a ever-growing list. Readers, we're trying to add in sensitivity readers. We've got a few of them so far. And I try to go into detail on what topics they're comfortable covering, what their background is like, and what makes them qualified to do so. We've got cover designers, audiobook narrators, editors, illustrators, map makers, marketers, you name it. We also have local events. Currently, though, we only have Europe, Canada, and US. All of them are loaded up. I just finished Europe. I just finished UK and Ireland. I've still got a little bit more to do in Europe. But you can go in here. You can see the states all laid out. So if, like, say you wanted to go look at Kentucky and see what's in there, or if you want to see something a little bit bigger like Texas, we've got tons of events in here. All of these are helpful, and all of these events that you see here are recurring annual events, and they will allow authors to booth and sell their books at their conventions, expos, fairs, whatever. Tools are ever growing, so I hope you can visit the site, and I hope you get anything out of it. If you do feel like helping, there's a donate button on the bottom of every page, and we also have a shop with merchandise. Now, I do not collect money for the sole purpose of collecting money. The donations and all proceeds from merchandise sales go into what I'm calling an author fund. Once the fund is built up, that will be used to help those authors who are struggling financially to get maybe editing services done, book cover design done, purchase some ISBNs for future projects, purchase a booth at one of the conventions, so on and so forth. So that is the whole goal with this. It's a resource pool and anything I can do to find and help independent authors and self-published authors. So there's my shameless push on Indie Author Connect. The next thing that I am going to talk about is that I did have a Kickstarter. I pulled it down. I canceled it early just because it wasn't quite what I was hoping it would be. Not with the donations, but with how I had set up the actual campaign. So I'm going to be relaunching, and this will be the banner of it. I'm going to be relaunching with some new rewards, with a new focus, and I will be relaunching that on March 18th. It'll run for 45 days, month and a half. And it's got some really cool rewards. Some of them are limited to the first week or 2 weeks of the campaign. And I'll talk more about that as we get closer. But this is to fund the push out of Armitage, as well as the audiobook, the ebook, the paperback. And I even have an exclusive paperback version that's going to be using groundwood print that's going to be for a limited time on Kickstarter. All copies will be signed, and there's even a tier where you can create your own character within the world of Idramir, and we can talk through that whole process. Anyways, end of my self-promotion. I appreciate you guys listening and hanging around. Let me get rid of the demo page here, and I'm going to bring up the next book, which is by Mattia Lorenzo Zano. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that. You want the girly one? Pebbles, absolutely. Go get it. Oh, that's another thing. On my Kickstarter, I will be purchasing the motto shirt, which is Dream Independently. So that'll be for a limited time as well. If you would like the ebook, audiobook, and a shirt, I'll be putting that into a package and I will ship that to you. So, Mattia is cool. All right. I'm going to continue butchering it. I apologize. I'm sorry. I think I've pronounced it like 3 or 4 different ways already. Not intentionally. I'm just terrible with pronunciations, which comes in really handy when you're reading audiobooks, It's what people look for. All right. I'm going to get myself out of the way, and we're going to start this reading here. So, again, this is Kindred Warriors by Mattia Lorenzo Zano. And I think this is chapter 1. Let me see if he listed this. No, but this chapter is titled One Warrior, Two Souls. So give me a second. Let me get some water and I'll get started. Okay. One Warrior, Two Souls. As the joint took effect, Matt's body began to feel numb and his mind confused. He found himself immersed in a dreamlike state where time seemed to slow down and reality became blurry. In this state of confusion, Matt heard a voice that sounded like his own, but spoke in a strange and disjointed manner. "Don't you realize how weak and miserable you are? Man up!" Matt turned around in terror, thinking that someone had entered his house, but he saw no one. "You're looking in the wrong direction." "Who's there? Come out, you coward! Show yourself!" Matt replied, assuming a defensive stance with his fists up, ready to strike. Matt then heard a wicked and cackling laughter coming from the bathroom. He took a deep breath and slowly approached it, keeping his guard up. But he didn't see anyone until he turned his gaze to the mirror. What he saw left him breathless. In the mirror, there was a figure that seemed to be a dark and distorted version of himself, naked from the waist up, with a sculpted abdomen and well-defined chest. The skin was darker, the hair raised with a strand falling on his right cheek, his face full of scars, and his eyes were red as fire. Matt found himself staring at the reflected image, unable to believe what he was seeing. The distorted figure looked at him with a satisfied grin. Matt stood frozen, unable to move or speak for several seconds as he tried to make sense of what was happening. No, it can't be. Am I awake? Matt thought as he recalled his childhood dream. Yes, you are, my dear, the man in the mirror exclaimed. What are you... Sorry, dogs. What are you... Matt asked, his voice trembling. Don't you understand by yourself? The man in the mirror asked. It's impossible. He's that thing I dreamt about a long time ago, he whispered. He can read my mind. How? Matt wondered again. I can do it because I am you. Your anger, your pride, and your despair. They gave me shape and substance, his alter ego yelled. Me? Where do you come from? Matt asked, incredulous. I am here because you summoned me, his doppelganger replied. Matt shook his head in disbelief. I didn't summon you. I don't even know how to do that. The doppelganger laughed. Oh, but you did. You summoned me with your thoughts, emotions, and actions. You wanted to be strong, brave, powerful. And I am the embodiment of those desires. We are one. Matt felt even more terrified than before, as if he were losing control of the situation and his own life. He thought he might be going insane or experiencing some kind of hallucination. He couldn't believe that the figure before him was a part of him. Matt then tried to reason and find a plausible explanation for what was happening, but it was difficult to focus. In the end, he took a step back, trying to distance himself from the figure staring at him with those fiery red eyes in the mirror. No, we're not one and the same. You're just a trick of nature, a specter, Matt exclaimed, trying to compose himself. Don't delude yourself. You've always known. You've always sensed that I was inside you. And now... The doppelganger chuckled. Now you have the chance to know your better side. You can't be me, Matt retorted, trying to convince himself. Oh, but I am. You tried to hide me, but I've always been there, lurking beneath the surface, waiting to strike. All that is yours belongs to me by right, and mine it must be. The doppelganger raised his voice. No way. Oh, I've already heard this, Matt thought. What do you want from me? He finally asked. The doppelganger approached even closer in the mirror, its dark and eerie figure contrasting against the immaculate white background. Its red... Hold on, give me a second, sorry. Sorry about that, had to pause. Kids came in. All right, let me pick back up. The doppelganger approached even closer in the mirror, its dark and eerie figure contrasting against the immaculate white background. Its red eyes were fixed on Matt's, seemingly cutting through him like razor blades. Matt felt completely vulnerable, as if the doppelganger could see into every thought and secret. The atmosphere grew heavy and oppressive, as if the air had been sucked out of the room. Remember when Jacob and his gang made you suffer when we were kids, and how they caused Marty's death? You want revenge. And I am here, right here, to help you get it, the doppelganger declared, proposing an alliance. Memories of his childhood and of Marty flooded Matt's mind. Think about it, Matt. You finally have the power to set things right, once and for all. All you have to do is let yourself be helped. Embrace the darkness within you. We will achieve great things together, the doppelganger urged. Matt lowered his gaze, his eyes filled with tears. He didn't want to accept the words, but he knew they were true. Together, you say? I'm not sure if I'm really capable. Marty's death has truly destroyed me. I'm a broken man. Stop pitying yourself. It was destiny that had happened. Do you want that pain to destroy you or redefine you? The doppelganger asked. I just want Marty to come back to life, Matt said, lifting his gaze. No, you want revenge, and we'll get it together, the doppelganger declared. But who are you? Matt asked, leaning in and staring at the dark figure. I am everything you could be, your untapped potential. I'm a part of you, the doppelganger replied. Matt looked down again, lost in thought. You're thinking about her, huh? Poor Marty. Such a tragic loss, isn't it? But deep down, you know you're guilty, Matt. If you had killed those bullies during the reunion right away, she would still be alive. You knew you were capable of it, but you held back, the doppelganger mocked. No, it's not true. It wasn't my fault, Matt shouted, trying not to be swayed by his alter ego. Deny it all you want, but deep down, you know it's true. You could have prevented her death, but you let your merciful instincts take over. You should have given it your all in that fight. They deserved to die for what they did to us. Matt clenched his fists as a storm of emotions raged inside of him. Don't you want to free yourself from the burden of guilt? The doppelganger continued. Yes, of course. But how? Matt asked, accepting the doppelganger's words. By reclaiming what is ours, we'll make them suffer. No one can stop us, the alter ego exclaimed. Yeah, I can't deny that I want revenge. Those bullies, those bastards. They took Marty away from me, ripped her away from her family. What do you suggest I do then? Matt asked, smiling maliciously. Become one. Join forces and unleash our combined power, the dark entity suggested. Matt then fixed his gaze on his alter ego in the mirror, tempted by the offer. Become one? How? Matt asked, intrigued. It's simple, Matt. You just need to touch my hand. The doppelganger replied, extending a hand toward the mirror. Our souls will merge, and we'll become one entity, it continued with a smirk. Matt felt tempted by his doppelganger's offer, but at the same time he was still frightened and confused. He looked at the hand reaching out through the mirror, trying to understand what would happen if he were to touch it. The doppelganger seemed extremely confident, and its voice was warm and seductive. But Matt knew he shouldn't trust it. It was a creature born from his anger and pain, and he didn't know what its intentions might be. What about me? Will I still be myself? Matt asked cautiously. The doppelganger smiled. Don't be foolish, Matt. You will still be yourself, but better, stronger, sharper, faster. Matt hesitated, unsure of what to do. The idea of merging with his doppelganger was enticing, yet terrifying. The desire for revenge burned deep within him, and he couldn't shake the thought of getting back at those bullies. In the end, Matt remembered the dream and the merging of his future self with that creature. Maybe it really was destiny, he thought. Matt made up his mind and slowly approached the mirror. Fine, Matt whispered, getting closer and extending his trembling right hand toward the double reflection of himself. The doppelganger, meanwhile, smiled with a wicked glint in its eyes. When Matt's fingers were about to touch those dark ones of his alter ego, a shiver ran down his spine. But the temptation to become stronger and more powerful was too great to resist. The two hands touched, and the doppelganger was absorbed in a blinding light. While Matt felt engulfed by a wave of sparkling and powerful energy, his body remained suspended in the air during that process, and he could feel the doppelganger's strength merging with his own. After returning to his feet, with one knee bent forward, a new sensation of power began to surge within him, with dark and red-black bursts of electricity enveloping his body. His mind, on the other hand, became so acute that the world around him seemed sharper and more vivid, and Matt felt like he could do anything, as if there were no limits to his abilities. It was an incredible feeling, yet simultaneously terrifying. What would he do now that he was so strong? What could he do with this newfound power? Matt looked at himself in the mirror and saw his reflection, his eyes now black with a sinister smile on his face. He knew he had surrendered to his dark side, but he didn't care. All he could think about was the revenge he would soon get. Now we are one, Matt. No more hesitations, no more fear. Together, we will unleash our fury and destroy them, the doppelganger declared in his mind. What have I done? Matt wondered, incredulous. You made the right choice, Matt. Embrace the power within you. Let it fuel and guide you towards revenge, the dark entity encouraged. The transformation was complete, and the world would soon witness the wrath of a man who had nothing left to lose. Then, Matt felt his energy skyrocket. He looked at his hands and noticed that the wounds on his sore and bloodied knuckles began to regenerate instantly, leaving some red scars on his body. And he noticed that his arms, chest, and abs suddenly became extremely defined. After feeling a surge of power, Matt lost consciousness, collapsing to the floor. The next morning, Matt woke up slowly, feeling sore. His mind was still foggy and confused, as if he hadn't slept for days. He got up with effort, wincing at the pain in every part of his body. He looked around, trying to remember what happened the previous night, but his thoughts were still muddled and blurry. However, he knew that something strange had occurred. The feeling of power and strength he experienced was still present, pulsing in his veins and muscles. He approached the window, trying to orient himself in time and space. Was it just a dream? Matt wondered, still confused. No, it was not, his alter ego replied in his mind. Matt jumped and looked around, but he saw nothing strange. It was as if his doppelganger was there with him, but only in his mind. The voice continued to speak. You've become something more, Matt. You've been chosen for a destiny beyond this life. So, you can read my mind and even hear what I say? Matt realized the situation. Of course I can. I am you, and the sooner you understand that, the better we'll be, the doppelganger replied. Why is this happening to me? Matt asked, trying to make sense of it all. Your blood was infected by the particular variety of cannabis you smoked. The union between them and your already disturbed state of mind brought me to life. But I've always been with you. That was just the spark that ignited the fire, the doppelganger explained. It's crazy. But you know what? It's cool. We can make decisions together inside the same body, Matt replied, relieved. This partnership will last forever, Believe me, the doppelganger assured. Why do I feel so full of energy? Matt asked, clenching and unclenching his fists. Now you possess the power of two people within one body, the doppelganger proclaimed. The power of two people within one body. Like a fusion? Matt asked, astonished. Exactly. If you don't believe me, why don't you try hitting the heavy bag? The doppelganger suggested. Matt approached the punching bag slowly, eyeing it suspiciously, but at the same time feeling a certain excitement in the air. With a deep breath, he prepared to throw his first punch. The air seemed to expand and contract around him as his inner alter ego pushed him forward with increasing force. Matt then delivered a powerful right punch to the bag, and his fist went through the fabric with surprising ease, as if the bag were made of paper. The force of the blow made his knuckles sting, but he also felt a surge of energy spreading through his body, as if he had been charged with electricity. Matt was left speechless. He didn't know how to interpret that sensation, but he knew it wasn't a dream. The bag was now torn, and he was certain that he held a new power within him. But how can this be? It's insane, but what are these red scars on my body? Am I turning into a monster? Matt asked, frightened at the sight of the scars. Call it what you want, Matt, but you have been given the power to destroy your enemies. Now use it, the doppelganger urged him to act. With this power, I can avenge her. I can keep my promise, Matt thought, remembering Marty. Yeah, still thinking about that girl, the doppelganger said, annoyed. Now let's get to work. It's time to track down those bastards and make them finally pay for their actions. But we need a plan, the doppelganger encouraged. What do you suggest we do? Matt asked. And that is the end of the excerpt for Kindred Warriors. Hold on. Let me get back up here. Oh, I got the age-restricted thing. Is anybody still on? Hopefully. Anyways. No, that was really well done. Really well done. I like the kind of dichotomy, kind of arguing with yourself. Me personally, I don't know if anybody else sees it this way, but I'm a big fan of Kingdom Hearts. And in the second Kingdom Hearts, there's actually in both Kingdom Hearts, there's parts where they face like a shadow clone of themselves. And it really reminded me of that. You've got you and the anti-you kind of working together. And I really liked that personification and that representation of that inner turmoil kind of manifesting itself. It was really well done, really interesting. All right, get myself back up there. Ink Mario, yeah. There you go. Yeah, Ink Mario. No, Mattia, really well done. I really appreciate it. Kindred Warriors, like I said, the page for tonight's readings, I usually put it up a couple hours before, but today was a little bit busy at work, so I haven't done it yet, but it will be done right after this. And for anybody that missed this, the live is immediately saved on YouTube. So as soon as I close this out, you can go and watch it right now. It takes about 24 hours for YouTube to make the video available for me to download. But after that period, I'll download it. I'll cut out just the reading sections, and I'll try and I'll see if I can clip the reading section to get where my kids came in out of it. But either way, I'll cut them into the reading sections, and then I'll upload them to the page right underneath the book synopsis and the links to support the authors and purchase the books. But all the same, again, phenomenal books. I really appreciate you guys trusting me with this and letting me read it. Let me get the promo back up so you can see both the books. But yeah, really well done, guys. Both of you guys. I really appreciate it. I'll be sending you the links to the YouTubes if I remember. I usually forget. I apologize if I do. But once I get the excerpts cut up, I'll send you the links to those excerpts so that you can share them out if you'd like to, or you can visit the webpage and see all that stuff. And as I do, always after the live author readings, I try to end it by 8 o'clock because I think it's Tuesday through Thursday and then Saturday and Sunday. Between the Pages does their live author interviews. So as another means of promotions, by all means go join. Sean Amick is usually the one that hosts it. And then there's Megan Mosgrove, who's in the chat, who's the co-host. Both of them do a phenomenal job. They kind of switch off hosting, or sometimes they co-host. They do writing workshops. They do live author interviews. They do promotionals. They talk to publishers. They talk to agents. It's really fantastic. And if you're an author that would like to have yourself promoted, get on there and do a live author interview. And with all that said, oh, yeah, and Megan on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. That's right. Writing workshops are always on Wednesdays. So if you have questions as an author that you want them to answer, or if you're curious about how certain things work or how to get over certain hurdles, by all means, go into their Discord. I think between the pages has a Discord that you can ask Pebbles or Megan for, and they can send you a link to that. You can ask the questions for a writing workshop right there in that, or they may even have a link for where you can ask the questions. But by all means, go see Sean Amick or Megan Mosgrove at 8 o'clock, which is about 10 minutes, and go check out the live author interviews. Until then, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you. Have a good evening, guys. Oh, you're so sweet, Megan. Appreciate it. See you guys later.